2026 has been an insane year for video games. Resident Evil Requiem, Slay the Spire 2, 007 First Light, and of course, Game of the Year, Neopets. But in the middle of countless releases, there are some games that year by year fly under the radar, so I feel like it's my job to talk about them. But before I do, I have to say that this video was only made thanks to Effigy. Effigy is an amazing content creator, and by being part of his community, and sort of a degenerate gambler on his chat, I won a Steam gift card of 50 Canadian dollars. And I used that money to put this list together. Effigy is not only a Tekken god...
What the fuck does that say? What does it fucking say?
But he's also an amazing person by supporting his community when they succeed on their goals.
I've completely won No Nut November. That's good, I guess. I'm proud of you. On account that I've cut my penis off. Okay, well, listen.
And when he's not doing either of those things, he's vibing.
Thank you for Big Man Blastoise and my dead grandma. I appreciate you, LaRue.
So thank you, Effigy, for helping me make this video. Talking about White Shadows is a bit complicated, because during my time with the game, everything felt so surreal. A beautiful platformer in a colorless world, it was if I was back in Limbo, and in the way that the game uses a form of show and don't tell, White Shadows shows its inspirations directly from Playdead's games. Not only that, the game also takes inspiration from Animal Farm, with the big signs that clearly state that all animals are equal, and eventually you'll learn that some are excluded from that. The world displayed in White Shadows is depicted as a dark dystopian factory where natural light is replaced with high daylights, and the plot does revolve around light. It's not that White Shadows is presented as a toneless game. If anything, it sort of presents itself as a lightless one. And we even get ads across the world that the population should take one light bath a day. One may think that the lack of color could limit how a world can present itself, but Monocle, the team behind White Shadows, showed that even in monochrome you can display beautifully designed scenery. I was often in awe of the camera pans and how extensive the world actually feels, despite the fact that we can only move horizontally. If anything, it shows that we, as the players, are completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But even if you feel like you are irrelevant, the more you explore the world of White Shadows, the more you can feel like an anomaly in this fully automated world. It shows that everyone has their own role and place, and you are not meant to be where you are. The developers don't shy away from trying new things, and the platforming sections are really enjoyable. Sometimes frustrating, but where's the fun if you don't fail occasionally? Overall, I finished the game with more questions than answers, and trust me, I even drafted a whole email to send to the developers because I want to know more about what they were thinking, and now you convince the whole studio to bring this together. We are talking about designing a whole sequence of an egg factory. How do you transition that from an idea to paper to designing to the game itself? White Shadows is still a very short game, and if you see it on a discount, I really think you should go for it, but don't think you are getting the same experience as if you were playing Limbo or Inside. You need to see it as its own thing. Achievement wise, it's pretty straightforward. Story achievements, do not die in certain sections, and some silly achievements where you need to complete some simple, yet silly, yet hilarious puzzles. White Shadows was a very gratifying experience, even though it left me extremely confused. I picked up Spirit of the North thinking I was getting a similar vibe to Stray. And I couldn't be more wrong. Spirit of the North was a game that I enjoyed, but at the same time, I kind of expected more. The game has plenty of amazing aspects, the environment, the music, the whole aesthetic. Running through the snow or the astral plane feels really good, but as a platformer, it does have the issue where sometimes the controls don't feel as smooth. And when the game revolves around areas where the controls really need to be smooth, it turns into a small problem. The world of Spirit of the North is corrupted with some sort of plague, and together with an astral fox, your main goal is to cleanse that plague by going further and further into the mountain. The game has no dialogue or any sort of collectibles that tell you the story. What you do have, however, is murals scattered across the world that are up for your own interpretation of what happened. The more areas you visit, the more powers your fox obtains and the more you can do. From being fast to a small dash that resembles a bit of a teleportation, the game revolves around you, the fox, cleansing the world from that plague on a very linear path. I did enjoy my time with this game, but maybe I was expecting to get the same type of vibe I got with Stray, which I didn't, and that may be the reason why it felt underwhelming. But this game is something that I recommend you pick nonetheless, even if you just want to spend one afternoon exploring a mountain with a customizable fox. The fox has skins! I do have to say that when you go to the spirit world, having the scenery look similar throughout the entire area kind of nerve-wracking for someone like me who has an awful sense of direction. The ending left me a bit confused, but in awe at the same time as the credits roll and you can just jump around. Overall, the game was a nice experience and it was fun. Exploring the world as I pleased felt good despite the occasionally clunky movement. Achievement-wise, it's not something new. You have your story achievements, you have the collectibles that are Styx that resemble the cane from Sly Cooper, finding all the murals, destroying the plague sites, and the worst of all is finding all of the spirits in that spirit world, the place that looks exactly the same all over. But overall, I recommend Spirit of the North. Journey was definitely a journey. I didn't know much about the game besides the fact that the art style was just to my liking, and when you add an amazing art style to a very lovely soundtrack and a pleasant gameplay, you have all the ingredients for an amazing game. Some could argue that it's more of a walking simulator than a game, and I would agree. At the end of the day, Journey is an experience. Starting in the middle of a desert, you can only walk and jump. Exploring the vast desert and interacting with some of the collectibles will make your scarf bigger, which will allow you to jump higher. All of that is taught in a tutorial, and that's the only thing you'll learn. From there, you are free to explore as you please in a sort of a linear way that at the same time does make you feel like you are in a completely open world. Your only waypoint in the middle of all of this is the mountain you see in the distance. Granted, you are free to explore the areas as much as you want because there's no one to tell you to go to the mountain. It's simply the only thing in the distance that makes you feel like you have to go. Interacting with the murals, finding the cloth creatures, and finding the glyphs, none of that feels like a chore because it's not mandatory, but the game does make you feel like it's part of your journey. I was completely unaware that other travelers I saw on the way to the mountain were in fact real people. At first, I thought they were simply NPCs, but NPCs don't act like this. Friend! Let's go! Let's go! Going through the several environments with a companion made the journey so much better. What started as a solo travel in a desert became a sort of pilgrimage throughout the world, and having someone next to you made the journey so much more worthwhile. I am an achievement hunter, and I do tend to do, more often than not, check collectibles to see if there are missable ones. but during my travels, that didn't even cross my mind, as my companion showed me the way so I could get everything I needed. The more I played, the more it felt like going alone would be a completely different experience, and I felt happy that I had someone with me on this journey. Climbing the mountains, invading the monsters in the temple, and losing all of my scarf in the snowy areas was simply amazing and breathtaking. And I'm sure that if I had been alone, I would have felt completely different. It's hard to put into words how enjoyable this experience was, and it's one that I truly recommend. And with that, I would love to give a huge shout out to RTSmarty92 for showing up while I was streaming and tagging along without telling me. It was simply fantastic. If anything can describe Pumpkin Jack, it will probably be a love letter to old school 3D platformers. With a team of only one, Pumpkin Jack managed to bring me back to the old days when I would come home, boot up my PlayStation 2 and play Sly Cooper all day. In Pumpkin Jack, you play as Jack, who happens to be a pumpkin. But before becoming a pumpkin, Jack tricked the devil multiple times to the point where he was cursed to wander the world. With the devil deciding that the world needed more mischief, he released the curse of eternal night, creating mindless creatures which made humanity call for a champion, the wizard. In response to this, the devil decided to send Jack to even the score. The story of Pumpkin Jack is entertaining and yet simple, which happens to be, in a way, very charming. The cast of characters is incredibly small, and that is one of its strengths since each one of them is brimming with personality. Jack travels around with a crow that can be used to attack from a distance, and is also a very fun companion. The platforming is fun, sometimes challenging, which is a good thing for a platformer. The combat is your typical hack and slash, which complements very well the overall theme of the game. You gain weapons after defeating bosses, and you can alternate between them, with each weapon being completely different from the other. The game itself doesn't introduce anything really new to this type of game, but again, the simplicity of using what used to be fun when we were kids is one of the best parts. The childlike wonder of not having to overthink or worry about min-maxing every single aspect of a game made this a very pleasant and fun experience. Looking for collectibles is also enjoyable because it encourages you to explore the map, and the reward, if anything, is that after collecting certain thresholds, you can unlock new outfits. The soundtrack is also very pleasant, but I do have to point out that in certain areas it doesn't loop as well as it should, sometimes leaving you to play the rest of the level with the absence of music. Overall, Pumpkin Jack was a very fun experience, and it's sad that it's such a short one, being able to be completed in one sitting, but that doesn't detract from how good the game is. I've always heard about Sumogo as a gaming studio that always tries something new with each of their games, but I never played any of them, and if there's a game that I always wanted to play, it was Sayonara Wild Hearts. The soundtrack of this game was one that I have always listened to ever since it came out, even without me seeing any gameplay of the game. So now that I had the chance, I knew that it was time to finally try it out. Just like all the other games that I mentioned on this list, Sayonara Wild Hearts can also be played in one sitting, but if there's something that you will absolutely do with this game, it is play it more than once. Sayonara is considered a pop album video game, which describes it perfectly. Getting into the game without a single clue of what to expect except banger after banger soundtrack-wise, I have to say that I can't do justice to how surprised, happy, and excited I was while playing this. My experience with rhythm games was limited to Geometry Dash on my phone and the occasional Friday night funkin' with the homies. And while most rhythm games make you play notes to the beat of the music, Sayonara Wild Hearts make you play with the music. It's not a complicated game where you need to hit quick time events over and over again. If anything, making it to the end of the song is in itself a win. It is a game that has so many ideas and concepts that each could be fully fleshed out, but instead you get them for 5 seconds, and during those 5 seconds you are completely marveled right before it hits you with something new that sweeps you away again. Sayonara Wild Hearts surprises you at every corner, from riding a skateboard to being on a motorcycle shooting against a mechanical wolf, kissing a dragon, and surfing on fluids. The game throws curveball after curveball and gets you surprised every single time. When I was attempting to achieve the 100%, which includes solving all of the riddles that are special conditions in each music piece, I remember being frustrated by not being able to drive a car without hitting a single wall. Then I went to sleep, woke up 3 hours later because that's all I could think about, and beat it on my first try. Everything in Sayonara is so amazingly paced and entertaining that sometimes you forget that you are playing a video game, to the point where after completing the game, I kept sinking hours into it, because that's how fun it is. The simplicity of not having a heavy story or difficult mechanics brought out the best in this game. Sayonara Wild Hearts ended up being the strongest contender for my personal game of the year, to the point where I can't stop talking about it to the annoyance of my friends. Achievement-wise, playing the game, going for max ranks on every single level and collecting every coin will eventually lead to a couple of achievements, but solving the riddles attached to several of the levels, which may include not collecting a single heart or pausing the game 12 times in a row, is easy to understand, but there are maybe 1 or 2 that raise the difficulty. I can't stress enough how much I recommend Sayonara Wild Hearts and how much I will keep sinking hours into it, even after completing everything that the game gave me. Despite the length of these games, I have to say that I enjoyed my time with each and every one of them, and having a game that quickly became one of my favorites of all time just made this even better. I truly enjoy making these lists of indie games because it gives me an excuse to try and play something entirely new every single time, and it always makes me happy to find things that I will remember for a very long time. I would like to thank Effigy again for helping me make this video possible, so please do give him a follow and show up to his streams because I am absolutely sure you will enjoy them. So Effigy, thank you. If you enjoyed my whole journey, thank you so much, and I hope to see you on the next one.